Welcome back to Scinary Information Nexus, your podcast of sure.
Hey, and welcome back. It is Friday, January 16th, and as usual, I am joined by, what's your name? Joseph Hamilton.
Yeah, me.
Mario Ortiz and Brazos Wortham. Say hello, fellas.
Hello,
fellas.
So we've got a lot to get into today because we're going to be talking about the scourge that is data center development today. But first,
I think we're all going to die.
yeah, probably. But first, we've got some beer to talk about.
I like beer.
Beer's a
word.
So this is how sad this podcast is. We can't get anybody to sponsor us. Like, we will work for beer, and we have to depend on employees to bring us beer.
I'm more worried about the fact that we never asked them to start bringing beer.
They just bring it.
They just started saying, hey, you guys drink on Fridays? You want a little bit more?
Yeah.
It makes me wonder what they're doing while we're in here.
So that I think it's just a ruse to get us to go away. Like,
Probably so.
yeah, they're like, oh, these guys drink beer on Fridays. Well, let's just continue to bring it, and maybe they won't show back up.
Hey, what's going on with this alert? It's all right. Go get a drink. Here's a beer.
Yeah, for 1 hour once a week, they get to just watch alerts and deal with the clients and not have to hear any of our shenanigans.
I agree. But let's talk about this. This was brought to us again by Thet on her trip to New York. She brought us the Quad Father.
Yep, which I like
you
that
had
one
last
last
week.
time.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that was from New York. Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, you should try it this time because it's not as cold as it was last time.
No, because somebody left them out last week.
It's not my job to clean up. I don't know who that is.
So
but
you're just the talent.
yeah, that's
I
right.
told you.
Whenever you brought the
roadies.
podcast back and you said it's going to be video and all this other stuff, and I said, cool, I'm talent now.
So this beer, I can't find a name of the beer. It says Et Stay Home 19.
I believe that would be ET Stay Home. It's
ET Stay
It's
Home.
like ET Phone Home. No, ET Stay Home.
okay.
You won't be able to drive after
I
this.
thought it was some French shit.
I mean, it is a 7.2% alcohol by volume, and look how big this can is.
Yeah.
We get one more of those, Richard. Then it's not PG-13 anymore.
So it says it's Imperial Gose or Gose. I don't know how to say that actually.
Goose, I thought.
No, but it's not. There's
one
only
O.
one O.
Yeah,
It's Gose. And then brewed with pink guava, mango, pineapple, and pineapple soft serve.
It's an Imperial Gose.
Gose?
Man, don't give me...
no, it's Gozu, like Gose Zuh is how you pronounce
Gose.
that. Yeah, so like
Imperial Gose.
yeah,
That's right.
it is German. It's a German wheat beer.
This is...
We
this is a
drink Imperial Gose.
very, very cosmopolitan group we've got here.
Well, so yeah, open that up and tell me
Smells
how you
good.
felt about high school.
Oh yeah. Let me wait.
Yeah.
If he starts
Has
like,
this got jalapeno in it? I'm going to be pissed.
No jalapeno this time, but man, I took one swig of this and I started thinking about like the trash can punches we had.
Yeah, it really smells like trash can punch and like regret and remorse all mixed together.
This
means
is
I
the
need to
guy
open
that
this
took
bitch up.
the big old like can and started pouring all the different types of juice
that
into
should
it
not
and
be
then-
legal.
and then just put Everclear in it, you know?
That should not be legal.
interesting.
It is. It's like
Oh,
a
Mario's
fruit-
gonna like this.
That is.
It's as good as hell.
Are we sure this is beer?
No, it's Imperial Gose.
Yeah, ET is definitely gonna have to stay home.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Can we get this? Like, when is that going back to New York? We need a case of this.
Maybe they ship it, but
Yeah, import.
See, that's the problem.
Do good for the economy.
That is good stuff.
So he was just relishing in the
Right.
taste.
yeah, it's very. I mean,
It's tasty.
I'm not really a goose, whatever you want to call it. I've never really had a bunch of them, but the thing is I'm a huge sour guy. This doesn't have the sour notes, but it is still that same like fruity tones that I
There's
really,
a lot of
really,
citrus to it, yeah.
really like from sours.
Yeah.
So right up my wheelhouse. So
Yeah, I think. I really like it, and that one's going to be gone pretty quickly. So I'm glad we've
gone
got
now.
Some Godfather.
some Quad Father.
Sorry, Quadfather.
Yeah,
I was just checking the stock.
yeah, absolutely. So
thank you, Thet.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, Thad.
Thank you.
And thank you to all the 13 listeners that we have. We absolutely appreciate it.
Send beer.
We'll drink it.
Yeah, as mentioned, we're going to talk about the rise of data centers in the U.S. Over the past couple of years because it has started to hit home a little bit. Usually, when you're talking about high-tech stuff, that doesn't really impact Waco all that much, right? So we do have an Amazon thing that has the drones,
Drone delivery.
Yes.
drone delivery, but
Yep.
you're not in the delivery area. You are in
I'm right off that same
yeah,
block.
but they're not going to drop it into your, your
my-
gated community.
My in-laws are. They had a drone deliver something.
Oh, really?
Already, yeah.
Okay,
You know, Richard, why we're not in the fly zone?
because we live in the sticks.
Well, yeah, that because, if they started flying those drones out there, you get a bunch of those Golsonites with their shotguns.
That is true. That is true.
It's just practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
like shooting clays.
for anyone listening, shooting drones out of the sky is not cool and is for nerds.
Amazon's been subsidizing my skeet shooting for years.
Interesting.
Spear goes hard.
It's like, how much you got left in there?
So, listen, drink up, fellas, because it has been a very long week for us. The start of the year has been very busy, which is a good,
good thing.
Yeah, from the business standpoint. But wow, I'm glad we have these Fridays to kind of come down. So let's talk about the data center explosions. The data center explosion of the industry,
Right,
Not
not
of
the-
individual,
yeah.
Mr. Robot data center
Not the
explosion.
espionage.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
So
perhaps terroristic.
Wasn't in our predictions for 2026.
oh, you know what? It wasn't.
Yeah.
Some
Well, I think if it's going to be anything like that, it would be more they turn off the power in nation
communist-
state.
Yeah.
communist anarchist.
I don't think anyone's going to be planting bombs in a data center.
Yeah.
You don't foresee a missile just hitting.
If it's missiles, man, we got other problems. Your data centers are last.
Well,
like,
I don't know. Those batteries they're storing and stuff.
though, I do want to put it out there for the world, just because I think Donald is a minor genius on it, and it's my new favorite conspiracy theory of the year. But the whole reason why we want Greenland may be just AI data centers. There's natural cooling. You just melt that glacier even further and get nice cool servers. They got geothermal energy, so your energy is almost non-existent. Lots of water around it. So I mean,
He's making great points.
So what you're saying is Zuckerberg is in there with Trump saying, "Go get Greenland because I could use that."
yeah, it's basically free. I mean, all these
free money.
all the things you have to pay for a data center out the wazoo in order to make the data center work great, other than like the raw servers, is your water supply for cooling. It's
So-
the power.
I don't know how you derailed this conversation once again to some sort of conspiracy theory, but you have.
Yeah.
So I want to dial it back a little bit. And if we're going to talk about data centers, first of all, we have to talk about why.
For every tangent we drink. All right, guys, drink up.
Yeah, we really would not be getting home.
Yeah.
No, you just drink more as you go.
So why are these data centers starting to pop up everywhere? And when I say data centers, I mean these things are massive. So why is that happening?
I mean, AI.
Yeah, the main cause is AI. Before that, the only people that needed them were like search engines or people that had large swaths of data, like
Well, and
Amazon.
I will say, to bring some of the definitions that like the big tech companies have been using in private equity and econ and everything, is you've got kind of two sets. Like, data centers are data centers, but there are two types of data center companies that people are starting to classify stuff as. And so there's the old school data centers. So you're talking like with that, like Digital Realty Trust and Azure and all those. You've got people called neoclouds, that's things like, I think it's called like Circle is a really big one. And all the ones that we're going to be talking about today, they exist within that neo cloud realm, because what they're doing is those data centers are very specific to AI build
Right.
out and AI infrastructure. They're not really for like our stuff down at DataBank.
Right.
That's not
Right.
their purpose. Their purpose is purely just to shove a bunch of GPUs into a gigantic metal building with a lot of cooling and a lot of power.
So, but why is is the demand there? Or are they preparing for the demand?
It's preparing for the demand. Like,
preparing for supposed demand.
So if we're right, they're making bogus investments.
Yeah, so this is going
I
to go
mean,
right
how
back
do
to
you-
the AI bubble that we talked about last time. But I feel like it is less. I feel like the onus as to why they're doing it is the AI stuff. But I think that the bubble popping is going to, I mean, because they can pivot on this
Well,
if they needed to.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, it's kind of hard to quantify what a bogus investment is. I mean, like, so for example, we can sit here and say, well, no one can predict the future. The bubble's going to burst. You know, the demand is not going to be there in 5 to 10 years. So all this stuff is going to be junk. I would say that is the primary opinion of most people. But if you're looking about in the headlines and the amount of spend and GDP growth that is currently going on, and with the fiduciary duty that those companies have to their, investors and stakeholders, their idea is to maximize short-term profits. And so if you're looking at the billions of dollars that is getting thrown into this sector as of right now, you could arguably say that it's not a bogus investment. It's a good one based on the current data. So take that what you will. I mean,
yeah.
that's the devil's advocate line, but
So it's not billions. It's over $1 trillion. Combined.
As far as investment goes, yeah, and that would be my issue with. I agree with you as far as the way they look at it, but obviously, if no one's paying for it, it doesn't matter how much investment money you're getting in order to pay bills and make money and
but
make a profit.
here's the thing: speculation is a thing in markets.
And that's mainly what this is about. It's honestly this is the supreme of the technology world. So this is hype marketing at its finest. They have pummeled everyone with all of the buzzwords. Everything's about the powerful AI and what it can do and how it's going to change humanity. Does it have that capability? Probably not nearly that robust. We have seen AI in this company that someone has said AI was a vendor we were looking at, and we got under the hood, and all we could find were nested if statements.
Well,
at the end of the day, some AI is not all that intelligent.
I think for the purposes of the discussion, I think we need to stipulate a couple of things. I think we need to stipulate that we could have been wrong in our prediction that AI is not going to be a thing. And just let's stipulate that, okay, AI is going to be a thing. The second thing that we have to stipulate is that AI is going to be a powerful mover in economies.
transformational.
Yes, going in the next 5 to 10 years. Let's go ahead and stipulate that. Now, we all have arguments against that, but let's stipulate it and let's play the game that these data centers are playing for the purposes of our discussion here.
And I'll put a little bit of caveat on that will help out the discussion still, but give leeway for those that are listening that maybe just can't even swallow that pill. These are still at their core data centers. They can pivot. At the end of the day, it is real. At the end of the day, it's real estate. It is assets. It is computing power. They could end up carving them up, make them into a VPS with, high availability. I mean, they can do so many things with this at the end of the day. So regardless of whether AI works or not, these data centers, one way or the other, once they're built, are there to stay.
You know who the data centers, from the economy standpoint, who it's good for? Electricians, plumbers, concrete folks, steel.
That's actually a really interesting part of the whole infrastructure build out.
If these things keep going, what kind of shortages are we going to be looking at in plumbers and electricians? And
that's the other side of it.
So if you want to, Jensen Huang, so the CEO of NVIDIA, recently at CES, he had mentioned that his what NVIDIA is trying to do, their new chips that they're working on, they're trying to cut down on the heat that they produce.
Yeah.
And so you know what that caused? Like the second order effects that him mentioning that all the like private equity, like HVAC investments tanked.
Interesting.
Like just instantly did
Oh
not.
no, they're gonna need AC.
Yeah, like they won't need as much AC as they did anymore. So like I forget there's one particular vendor that does a lot of the like big NeoCloud HVAC systems. Yeah, like their stuff went down by a pretty significant margin whenever he had mentioned that. And other like second order effects on the economy side, I mean, like Caterpillar did really well because of these old school coal generators that, you know, those were the only ones people could get within a reasonable time frame. Again, screws and racks, like that there are a lot, the whole selling the picks and shovels type of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and I want to come back to you, but I want to make sure that we stay on track as to why this is happening, because it's happening at a grand scale. Like Virginia is doing like millions of square feet.
And the lawmakers are looking at putting in some regulation on that.
So
actually, this is one of the articles I looked at.
So I did some research into the regulations in Texas. I didn't go to any of the other states, but in Texas. But Virginia's number one, like Georgia's number two, like around the Atlanta metro area, Alpharetta and all those. That's where because Alpharetta already had a huge technology footprint anyway, with HP and everything else that's there. But now we get into Texas, right? And Texas, you know, saw miles and miles of Texas. Texas is a big place, especially if you get out west of I-35, right? There's a ton of room out there to build data centers, but that's not where they're building them.
I mean, well, there is Stargate.
There is Stargate, but that's still not West Texas.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Well, so there's some reasoning behind that, obviously. I mean, it's the same reason why if we were to look at ever relocating for whatever reason or building out a branch office, anything else like that, the last thing we would do is choose a rural location.
Well,
because at the end of the day, the infrastructure is easier to get from a metropolitan area. And so they look at, honestly, like, and we're going to get into it here, like Lacy Lakeview, because it is approximate to Waco, which has some pretty decent infrastructure that they can leverage, but it's far enough away.
But where is it? Historically underutilized areas, right, is where they're looking, which, I mean, from a company standpoint makes sense. First of all, the federal government is saying, yeah, you know, there's benefits to this, but it could be taken as exploitive as well.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a million things that we need to get into about that. And we'll get into the Lacy Lakeview situation later on. But first I want to talk about so we've established the grand scale that these things are going in. I mean, they're going up everywhere.
Yep. And fast.
And fast. They're going up so fast, and the investment for future, you know, return or whatever, for future demand is so great. You've got companies like Google and Meta and Amazon partnering with nuclear power generation stations. 3 Mile Island
came back online. Yep.
There's another one, I think, in the Midwest.
Yeah.
But I mean, and Meta especially is like looking into maybe building their own to provide power to these data centers. And I get it. If they can do that, first of all, I'm a big proponent of nuclear energy because it's cleaner, it's better, it's 24/7.
Especially if we ever figure out the fusion problem, which they're getting closer.
Let's not get into that.
Getting closer. That's all I'll say.
40 years away.
Closer.
How's the disposal look like?
Better than fission.
Just a little bit.
Miles and miles of Texas is all I'm going to say about the disposal.
Man, Lubbock's been feeling a little warm recently, hadn't it?
So right now they don't have access to any of that. So they have to use traditional power, right? And I've got some stats here.
Yeah.
The United States added 5,000 megawatts of new data center capacity in 2024 alone, which is 1% of the total consumption. Okay. That is going to double this year.
So 5 to 10.
Yeah, and it's going to be 2% of total consumption at the end of 1 year.
Right.
So we're looking at a logarithmic expansion in power utilization. So data centers are expected to add 460 terawatt hours of demand from 2023 to 2030, triple the current consumption. So and right now, I love Texas, but our power grid doesn't have the best reliability stats.
Well, so there's that factor, and then there's the other factor of who is assuming the cost of the extra power consumption, because there was I'm trying to remember, EIA, I think is the acronym for the organization, but it was a report that was released on the changes in cost for different sectors of the economy for energy.
Yeah.
And residential has risen over the last 5 years by somewhere around an average of like 73%. Like, it's a fairly large
Well, a lot of
increase.
times when they have to, like things like those big electric companies, or even when they're state ran, the infrastructure build outs that they do to support whatever new projects that they're doing, they just jack the price up across the board for everybody. So
Yeah.
even though it may be a minute increase, let's say $1 per bill, but you're looking across the entire, service area, but then you do that maybe, and I'm just
Multiple
using $1 as an example, but you do that multiple times, it starts to get pretty
Right.
high.
So the issue comes in the fact that for the commercial aspect, the ones that are increasing the load, that are making it to where infrastructure concerns on distribution are more of a concern. Even though they don't necessarily use the distribution infrastructure themselves, they oftentimes just hardline in because they can just take in the high voltage. They don't need it to be modulated at all. Even so, the extra strain on the generation and the capacity, that cost doesn't hardly go to them at all. They've only seen a 2% increase over the last 5 years. 73% increase on the residential side, 2% increase on the commercial side. And that's with not even looking at what data centers are going to do to that, because that's just on, the last 5 years have not included a huge data center ramp up. Only about a year or two of that data has.
So I'm not naive enough to think that the data centers are going to pay their equal share, because like in the case of Lacy Lakeview, that's a purely monetary calculation by the city council there. And again, we'll get into that in just a little bit. Yeah.
Are you saying they value money?
They
over the
value
well
money
benefit of the people?
over people's opinions.
Yeah.
So there is a price.
There's
there
a
is
large
a price.
there's a large movement right now trying to keep them from doing it, and
So-
each step of the way they just end up approving another thing.
And I'm sure that Brazos did the same research that I did on the law surrounding all of this. Like, because I've always thought it was like, well, just protest it, get the city council to vote against. But yeah, so there's a whole workaround in Texas to get around all that stuff.
Is it around the annexation of land and stuff like that?
It has to do with the difference between cities and counties.
Okay.
So, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. The next thing I want to talk about is water consumption. You got to cool these things. Where is that water coming from in drought-stricken areas in Texas?
So supposedly, like for the one that they're installing here, and I don't know how much I believe this in the long term. It may work for a small amount of time, but supposedly they're introducing something called closed cooling systems, where basically they cart in a bunch of water, so not even water from the area. They cart in a bunch of water, put it in a large reservoir, and all that water is used through the system, and once it's done, it goes back into the reservoir to cool back down and then go back in. So
they're going to truck in water?
Yes, they're going to truck in water. They're going to put it into a giant reservoir, and supposedly they're not going to use any local water for cooling.
That's horse shit.
So, well, maybe not in like totality, but I imagine it's the same process that car washes use. I think car washes actually spend millions of gallons. They probably do over a period of time, but they take in water and they try to refine water that can be cleaned, right? To reuse it in their system. So
I didn't know you were on the data center payroll.
Well, they need to pay me more.
So I do know that they are trying to like that is a logical step for them to take. Obviously, if you can reuse the water, you don't have to pay for it. It's cost savings. So if you can do something like that, great. The problem is you still have to look at where they're pulling that water from.
Right, because it has to get trucked in from somewhere.
Yeah, well, and like things like, so for example, if you build a data center in somewhere like Nevada, a lot of their water is highly dependent on like the Colorado and the Rockies.
Right.
Well, if they go and pull that water from somewhere where it does get a lot, you've got second order effects downstream.
Right.
Literally, pun intended, kind of. But you've got those effects where are they pulling the water? Because that still has a problem with the local region that they're pulling that water from, especially if they're pulling it from underground aquifers, which I'm assuming they're probably doing. If you look at places like Saudi Arabia, where they went and did that for years to subsidize their wheat farming, you drained all of those deep underground aquifers that don't get replenished very quickly.
Right.
So you've got issues there where, again, even though they may be pulling the water from somewhere else, it still has a problem.
Yeah,
Or it's still
and
a problem.
we're not talking about one data center in one location.
Right.
We're talking, again, hundreds of millions of square footage of GPUs running full-time 24/7 that have to be cooled.
Right. And that's my thing as to why I don't know that the reservoir system is necessarily going to...
It's a dog and pony show, man.
The thing is,
it won't fully cool it. It may help to a degree, but I don't think...
I think that's also kind of... Even though they say that, it's invalidated by the placements of the data centers because they're all around major lakes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like... So you're going to do this, and maybe to be the devil's advocate here, they're just going to use the local water system for minor things, but I don't know. Like I don't trust that.
Well, yeah, and that's so I mentioned earlier that I saw some things from the town hall, and that was one of the claims was that the only water they're going to use locally is for bathrooms and sinks and break areas and stuff like that.
And the rest of it, what I heard is, especially the one in Lacy Lake, they're going to use gray water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so non-potable. Yeah,
Yeah, shit water.
yeah,
Right.
Gray water is slightly different, but
yeah,
Oh, it's washing machine water.
yeah, washing machine water, dishwashing water.
yeah. It's
yeah.
It's the stuff you wouldn't want to drink, but we don't know if it's got shit in it.
I got our next podcast topic.
What's a good water filter brand? Please sponsor us. You know?
I don't think any of those would save you from that.
Yeah.
So, so the drain on resources is going to be real, I believe.
Well, and then you have to look at the intended payout, right? So you're right. There's a lot of jobs for the construction, but construction only lasts so long, and then it's done. And so you may get a small increase in economic activity at the outset, but once the data center is created, it doesn't take a lot of people to man a data center. And once it's manned, they're not producing very much as far as work or job related opportunities.
I guess my problem with it, because I'm pro economy. I want people to build stuff up, but there needs to be economic zones where that stuff needs to fit into the community. Like I have an issue with a company just going out and buying 500 acres of pasture land, not telling the owner what they're going to do with it.
And then getting it rezoned through.
It rezoned and then putting in a data center around like houses and shit.
Well, there was, and kind of to your point, Joe, one of the things that not the Lacy Lakeview data center, but the one that was in Laguna Park that they're building that's already kind of standing up and everything. The issue with that one, and honestly, the Lacy Lakeview one, is that the jobs that does create after the construction is completed is all like relatively high tech jobs.
Yeah.
Right.
When you're looking at Laguna Park and Whitney, Texas,
that's
it's like,
again, that's where it becomes exploitive.
Right. Right. We're just going to take your resources, but there's not going to be any real benefit to the immediate community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who's going to come out there? It's going to be people from Dallas.
And then what's
Austin,
worse is the stated intent is AI, which every single AI company has stated that their ultimate intent for AI is to replace workers.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's not just we're not going to give you all that many jobs. We're going to take all your resources, but also we are literally designing the thing that's going to put you all out of a job.
Well, and to be fair, the strategic placement of these data centers in these lower income communities, because it's strategic and that these companies understand that you're not going to put this in a high end area of Waco or Dallas. You're not going to put it in. I don't know what the high end areas in Dallas are because I've never been to one. But you're just not going to do it because nobody would stand for it, right?
Yeah.
Money speaks. Mm-hmm. So they're putting them in places where they know there's not a whole lot of money to fight back.
Well, I think also when you go and flash the numbers around, it makes a bigger impact.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that because you and I did the same research on that. All right, moving on because there's another group of people that are pissed about this.
Who's that?
The gaming nerds.
Oh,
Well, yeah. Anyone that not just gaming. Anyone who wants a new computer or any kind of new system within the next year.
I was seeing those stats change. It was, I don't know if you guys have seen the like gas memes where it's like, I remember when gas was a quarter and like they flashed to like a modern time. They've kind of changed that to be like, I remember when I could buy 64 gigs of RAM for like $100.
Now it's 1,000.
Yeah. So DDR5 in early 2025, so a year ago this month, 32 gigs was 87 to 90 bucks a gig or a stick. Now it's $380 to $427 in December of 2025. Okay. Why is that?
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand,
Supposedly.
right? Now,
well,
There is a demand.
Yeah, the demand is just inflated, but it's just,
where did I see this? I think NVIDIA has decided to scrap like its production of 5070s completely and focus on GPUs for AI. Like that's because I think the stat is the GPU market went from 10 billion in 2025 in early 2025 to 52 billion in late 2025.
Well, it really helps whenever you invest in all the people that are going to buy your product in order to inflate the price and say that, hey, look how big AI is. So now we're just going to do AI stuff.
I wish I could find it because I think I read this, but they're actually trying to increase silicon wafer production, but not for anybody else.
It's like that thing that we talked about. Like it's kind of crazy. They always do this, right? With any of their kind of, if you know NVIDIA, right? You have like the consumer cards, like the 50. I have a 5070 that has DLSS on it, which is AI frame generation, right?
Yeah.
So what do they mean? What, like when you actually sit back and think, what does that mean? Because my card that's meant for gaming and video rendering has the capabilities of AI. So what more could we need?
And at the end of the day, they've had AI chips for the last like 2 or 3 years.
Well, and to be fair, this could be a line of horseshit from NVIDIA as far as I know.
That's kind of what he's saying.
Yeah, because Joe and I had a conversation, and that's usually how it goes. All of their like consumer cards that you can buy, right? Completely different from their specialized line. Right. Like their P100s or whatever. They're going to tell you that it does something very specifically, right? But what's the actual difference besides that and just jacking up the price?
Well, so let's get away from the GPUs. It's something that hits very close to us, the RAM. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're talking 5 times in 1 year, RAM going up, 5 times the price that it started out in 2025. That has a huge inflationary impact on, forget AI, just server dudes.
And not even server dudes, because think about it. Every single business in the world now, to some degree, is dependent upon technology.
Yeah.
And if it's not dependent upon technology, it's dependent on a software or an app that is dependent upon technology. Right. Like they may not have a bunch of computers in house, but they need to use the shipping software that they have, and that shipping software is based off of a data center that just powers the app that
email.
Yeah, but so it doesn't matter what it is that you're doing in the service industry, even. It's going to be negatively impacted by that kind of inflation because next year, all those apps, all those software, all those hardware components that you need in order to run business are going to be more expensive.
And you know what the tragedy of all of this is? It's a friggin' bet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no guaranteed payoff, and as of right now, it would seem that there is no good business model either.
Now, say all these data centers come up and the bubble burst, and then they have to vacate. They can't pay the rent or whatever, and so now you've got shells of data centers. I'm pretty sure that those things would be sold and
get picked up by Amazon.
That DDR5 is going to be 2 cents.
They're all going to pick those up.
Yeah, that would be the benefit, right?
How many of those
for them?
How many of those are already not like partially funded by these big like corpos? Or partially subsidized.
So let me give you the
stats. That makes me go back almost to the venture capitalist thing of like giving all this money to all these little startups and having them build all this stuff. So it's not underneath the name of Amazon.
Yeah.
And Amazon, whenever the big bubble burst, comes in and goes, "Oh, the benevolent arm of Amazon, I'll buy up this data center that you guys spent so much money building, and I'm going to buy it for pennies on the dollar because I technically funded it. And now I will be the largest data center provider in all the world."
All right, so here are the numbers. AWS, $100 billion in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft, $80 billion in 2025. Google, $75 billion for cloud infrastructure in 2025. Meta, $65 billion. Apple, and the winner is Apple, $500 billion over the next 4 years is their commitment.
Chilling.
And then you have Stargate, which is an additional $500 billion, I think, funded by the federal government.
So
how's that one working?
So Stargate is a very interesting situation. Get into that, but I do want to touch on one thing that is interesting, because the thing about all the ones that you mentioned, Apple, Google, Amazon, all those guys, Microsoft, OpenAI, the one that's the most interesting out of that, because most of those make a lot of sense. Like, Google is Google, Microsoft's Microsoft, OpenAI is OpenAI. That's what they started. And Apple, kind of in the same vein a little bit. I would say they're a little bit more weird, but Meta, their thing is just so interesting that and
they're also the ones, they beat everybody to the punch, because aren't they the 3 Mile Island?
That was Microsoft.
No, that's Microsoft.
That's Microsoft. Okay. All right.
Well, Meta, I think, is going to be the story of the runt of the group not making it. They're a big company. They still do a lot, but compared to the others, they're not as big.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The spend, though, if you read all the numbers, Meta has one of the, I think is literally the second largest spend in that group.
Yeah.
But it is at its core an advertising social media company.
Right.
Yeah.
Yet they dump billions of dollars.
It's because it's Second Life 2.0.
Well, and that's what I think he's thinking of. It's the same switch as from Facebook to Meta. It's this pie in the sky. I have an idea of the next big thing, and I'm going to go for it, but it's half baked. Well, like Meta never took off in any significant way, and it may come back around later.
Well, he's gotten rid of all the metaverse staff and whatnot.
Right. But that same thing happened with AI. He hired a bunch of AI staff who, he paid top dollar for them, like huge amounts of money.
Yeah, it was like $100 million pay, or I don't know if it was 100 million, but it was like $1 million pay packages for some of those guys.
And then they quit, which says something about either the culture.
All I'm going to say is MetaQuest is right on.
There's a really interesting thing, and it gets into the weeds of Meta, but I'll just mention it slightly. One of the things that with Meta is they actually hired one of the top researchers, like the guy that he came from, what was it? was it Bell Labs or something? Like, guy had like pioneered AI. Like that was what he did. Meta got him, and they had him for a really long time. And then they ended up bringing on some like 25-year-old like dude that was just a AI influencer online to head their AI division. And yeah, the one dude like quit like with 60 years of technology experience, like,
which speaks to me that something's going wrong underneath the hood there.
Well,
which is why I think all this investment on their side especially is probably not going to pan out the way they want.
There's a big thing on like AI superintelligence that a lot of that they're trying to shoot for, and it's a whole thing. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of money being thrown at it, and I don't think.
Yeah, and look, it's here, right? And the whole point is that we got to figure out a way to deal with it, right? Because I don't want to stifle anybody's growth over something like this. What I'm saying is it needs to be planned out and structured in a way that you have zones for data. If this is going to be as big as they're saying it is, municipalities and states need to go ahead and pass legislation and regulate it.
They can't.
The state can.
No,
the state can't.
Yeah, the state can't.
Nope. Really?
It was an executive order signed by our glorious leader.
Okay.
So the whole thing there is that there was an executive order passed by the federal government to state that states cannot come out with individual legislation regarding AI. The only people that can do it is the federal government.
But that's AI. That's not the construction of the data centers.
You're correct, but if they take it to court and say that this is regulating our capacity for AI, that
I bet it stands up.
I bet it stands up. That's exactly what they're going to do. If you try shutting them down at all.
I mean, an executive order doesn't hold as much weight as an actual law passed by Congress.
But at least for the next 2 years, and I don't know if that bubble's lasting that long. So
all right. Well, let's move on to the impact of communities. I'm going to read a quote. It's like having a lawnmower running in my living room.
Well, we know SpaceX, so
the people in McGregor right now are going, y'all are on about data centers. Where was all this crap back when they wanted to put rockets next to my house?
I live next to a on-demand earthquake. What are you talking about?
Right. But there is harm that the residents near these things, who didn't ask for it, by the way, who were never asked their permission to put it in. And this is an invasion, in my view, and of the most conservative view. If you're a conservative, it's an invasion of your privacy to have some shit like that.
Yep.
Come over the boundary of your land and interfere with you, interfere with your animals, with your neighbors. There have been reports of people having seizures because of the hum and the vibrations and all of that kind of stuff. Again, it seems to me that if the four of us wanted to go buy a piece of land, throw some concrete down on it, and say we're putting in a data center, I don't see what could stop us from doing that.
Not much. Not much. Days. And so I want to put a little tidbit out there that I think a lot of people that don't live in this area know about, which is because a lot of people argue, well, there is a process. Because right now they're talking with the city. There are public forums where people are able to protest and give their say, and the opinions have been proliferate on that whenever it's happened. Yet it still keeps on getting passed through, and there's all these caveats that we give the business of, well, the community needs this, so we'll give you this concession, but you need to make sure to do this. A prime example of that is SpaceX, and especially with McGregor. The city of McGregor gets a payout every time they launch or test a rocket over there. And that's helped fund their education over there and a number of other things. The city of McGregor has made out like bandits with it as far as that goes. However, the amount of property damage from bust windows has been an issue.
Yeah, foundation damage.
Foundational damage has been an issue. And so although the city has gotten plenty of money in order to help with public stuff, the private cost for each of the people in the area has been quite significant, and the city has had to start helping them here and there. But the biggest thing, and the thing that I want people to understand and know, is that the stipulation was that SpaceX would not launch a rocket after 9 p.m. at night.
And they do it.
And, well, they do it, but what's more is they intentionally, it seems, because
they test, they don't launch.
They test, yeah. Sorry. They would not test a rocket after 9 because that's where the vibrations are coming from, right? And they don't want it to happen whenever kids are trying to go to sleep before having to go to school, whatever have you. But it seems like they intentionally start most nights around 8:55. Knowing that it's probably going to go a little long.
Well,
but they
I don't know about intentionally, but
it seems like it consistently happens. There's an entire day where you don't really feel it very much, and then all of a sudden at 8:55, almost on the dot, it starts going.
Yeah, and again, we're talking about these large companies coming in, basically bankrolling the city that they're in so that they can get their way, right? Let's move on to the example of Lacy Lakeview, because that's really the one that kind of impacts us. We're close to it. You and I are close to it. Brian, our producer and director, I think it's right next. Like right next to him.
2 miles maybe.
Yeah, and so he's negatively impacted. And so I want to go through the story of how this happened. So this company, Infrakey, came in and bought 520 acres. Okay. I doubt anybody understood what they were doing. It was a sale, selling 520 acres. We will buy it, no questions asked, which is the way most transactions go down. Then they announced plans that they want to put in a data center, but they don't want to put it in the county. So they petition the city of Lacy Lakeview to, and this area is in Lacy Lakeview's extra-jurisdictional district. Yes. And they went to the city of Lacy Lakeview and said, hey, you guys need to acquire this and put it inside the city limits. And the city council said, well, we'll have a meeting and we'll vote on it. That meeting, when people got wind of that meeting was fraught. And if anybody knows small town politics, like, it's not a big deal until it's a big deal, and then everybody shows up.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And everybody showed up to this thing voicing their concern. The damn city council voted 6-1 to incorporate that land into the city. And the city, is either the city manager or one of the city councils, said, well, look, we're looking at $50 million in repairs to infrastructure, and we've only got $10 million in the bank, so the money's got to come from somewhere. So this is a good idea. We need this money. To which I went, when are you going to see that money?
Yeah.
You're not going to see it for several years.
Right. It's not going to help with the infrastructure problems you have today. Because
they still haven't voted on whether they should allow it in. Now, Texas is, I don't know if it's weird or if this is the way it is in the United States, but counties can't put in like zoning stuff. Only the state and cities can. So it's weird that they wanted them to incorporate that land into a city, but maybe they weren't feeling good with the county. I don't really know why they did that.
And I can't speak to this because I didn't do the research. But maybe with a project like that, because it's a smaller city, it's dictated by the council and like the mayor versus the entire county district. Like you've got a much larger voter base, a lot bigger political power that you'd have to fight through.
I can't believe that they actually voted to do that.
I can't.
With the room full of people that they had, they took the vote in 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, and the meeting was done. There's going to be a lot of people up for re-election that are not going to get elected. And hopefully, if the citizens of Lacy Lakeview want to put the kibosh on this, there is still time to do that. You just got to vote in the next election and make sure the guy that you're voting for doesn't want to put this in, right? The city of so the other one that's in Granbury, the one that I did the most research on, basically the citizens around that one are trying to incorporate as a city so that they can basically kick them out and put restrictions on them on that. But in my research, so there's two parts of this. There is the city council not really following what the constituents want them to do. The other part of it is, and that has all that it has to do with money, right? It's all about the Benjamins, as it were. The other part of it is the company that's actually putting it in is a company called Infrakey. And I know you've spent some time trying to unfold CoffeeZilla this thing.
It's
but
something.
They were formed in March of 2025. And this shit started going down in the fall. Right? So it's a brand new company, which tells me it's a shell.
Yeah.
And it's probably private equity.
Yeah. So just to give a little bit of background here. So Infrakey stated on their website, which by the way is the most generic, like thrown haphazard site you can possibly do.
Do they have the Avengers on the front of it?
They don't, but it's one singular page with a tab at the top that it's a long scroll, right? Yeah. There's no extra, like there's no other like subdomains, nothing. So, and I will get to this, but when you go to the one regarding Lacy Lakeview, the thing that is associated with Lacy Lakeview is specifically Infrakey DC parks, so data center parks, and that'll be important here later. The management team referenced on this page is somebody, and I'm probably going to absolutely butcher this, Braham Singh and Bill Barney. So Braham Singh is the chief executive officer. Bill Barney is the senior advisor. So the first thing that I did, I really wanted to go and see like who is Infrakey, what's their state filings and all that fun stuff. So I just went to the Texas Comptroller website, looked that up. So you go and look at Infrakey. Well, there's 4 entities with the name Infrakey. There's Infrakey Capital LLC, Infrakey DC Parks LLC, which is the one being referenced there, Infrakey Digital Solutions, which I did not spend a lot of time looking into that at all, so I can't really speak to it, but if I had to guess, it's somewhat associated with all these. Infrakey Energy LLC, which again, didn't spend a lot of time looking at that, but I assume it is all in this tangled web of garbage. So if you look at Infrakey Capital, which I'm assuming is the holding company for Infrakey DC.
Yeah.
And the others.
So Infrakey Capital LLC was registered on 05/23/2025. And then Infrakey DC Parks was 05/23/2025. So registered at the same time by the exact same register. The thing is the registers are not Mr. Singh or Bill Barney. It is a company called Lusa and Deb PLLC. So it is a law practice. That law practice that you go and look up, whenever you go and check them out, where is it at?
Is that something we can do? Can we have our lawyers just spin up companies for us?
Yes, you can. The law practice was then registered by an Irain A. Lusa, which whenever you look that up, I was able to find the law company, which Lusa and Deb PLLC, which then also has a very weird site, but you go and look at it, it's like business law and entity formation. It's like, okay. Well, the other thing too that's like right next to that is India related cross-border legal services. Well, then I went to go and start looking at the individual people. Well, I started with, because I could kind of find some of the weird stuff about Mr. Singh, but the other one is the other guy, Bill Barney, because he's the senior advisor. So I looked him up. Well, he's associated with a couple of things. One, a organization called PTC, or Pacific Telecommunications Council or something like that. And then a private equity firm called Asia Century Equity, which invests in like Asian Pacific tech companies, and also was a part of some sort of Hong Kong thing.
So this is seeming like in maybe Indian shell company?
Indian, Asian, like all kinds of weird, funky stuff.
So we're never going to know.
Wait, you don't think this goes back to China, right?
So... And
I wouldn't be surprised.
Here's some other stuff
maybe they're building all the data
well,
centers.
so I mean, I think China started buying land.
Hey, I figured out how we could stop the data centers.
What's that?
We just have to tell the lawmakers it's China.
Yeah.
Then they'll start banning it all.
Well, then
This is where TikTok
drones.
is going to be off of.
But we don't want to mention one other thing, though. So the Asian Scinary Equity Holdings, LLC, which is registered by Mr. William L. Barney, which I assume is Bill Barney, out of Maryland. So
Maryland.
in this, the formation date also 2025.
Of course.
03/19/2025. So it's like all of these companies, which
So-
there's like 10 different jumps.
How many LLCs did Enron have?
Like
Millions or thousands.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their
And
CFO had
so
tons.
every time they spun up like a new oil well or whatever, that went under an LLC. Like, and it got registered and all that. So yeah, it's a shell company. There's no telling where the money is actually coming from.
right.
On this, right? So, but somebody had identified it and, decided to put this in with the good folks at Lacy Lakeview. Whether it's APAC or, wherever the money's coming from, it's definitely dark money. The very definition of dark is you can't trace it,
Right.
right?
It's definitely a web of a bunch of stuff. I mean, you probably spend, again, I unfortunately did not have, this week has been so crazy. I haven't had a lot of time to go through a bunch of this, but just from the little bit of like jumping around, you can kind of smell that this is a little off. It definitely odd.
So,
By the way,
let
completely
me-
unrelated, but I have some ideas to talk about with the lawyers.
I did want to bring up one other thing. So, because I thought this was really funny. So, when I was looking up the Pacific Telecommunications Council, they have a Wikipedia page. So I went to the Wikipedia page and I read it and it was like, okay, this is not a lot of information, but I wanted just curiosity got me. So I went to go look at the history of the Wikipedia page, like who's edited this Wikipedia page, just because there's been the
let me guess, was it March 2025?
So here's the thing. On June 30th, 2025, PTC Marketing updated their summary section in the Pacific Telecommunication Council's Wikipedia page, and then oh gosh, an hour later, some other person went and the comment on the change was where is it? Revising edits by PTC Marketing. So some random Joe in there was like, nah, we're deleting this.
Here's the thing. Again, I'm not against the private sector doing private sector things. If it brings jobs and it promotes the economy, I'm all for it. I really am. But these data centers are getting out of hand because, again, they're not like, how would you like to have an Amazon delivered hub next to your house?
Tell me about it.
Well, you chose to live there, right?
Well, but so at some point, that's where we end up. We have these companies that basically can run roughshod over, all because
they're the ones that are doing the eminent domain. Right.
Right.
They're the ones that are, because they go to these.
At what point are the companies so powerful that they're acting basically like a government to begin with?
Here's the thing. I don't think it would happen in Waco or any other big city because I don't know. It may because of the money that we're talking about here, but they specifically target lower income communities to put this stuff in because they know nobody's going to fight back on that stuff.
It's just like the city. This is down the SpaceX city.
Yeah.
That Elon Musk.
Hawthorne.
That Elon Musk basically annexed into SpaceX, and it's now the company city.
Yes.
At what point in time do they become basically little fiefdoms?
Well, I mean, let's bring back child labor too. Open up the coal mines.
I mean, that's your free market right there.
Yeah.
No regulations, right?
Cheap labor.
All right. And on that disturbing bombshell, we're going to have to end. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back next week. See you soon.